went way out there in last week. We'll see if that changes as we load up into picks and bans. And no surprise, Zyra's off the board.
Yeah, with the affinity of Malzahar for both these teams, I think Zyra has an opening ban. Picking Malz early and then squeezing support in second ban phase is definitely a strategy you can do on blue side.
Let's see if that is the case. As we keep going, the Camille ban, no surprises once again. I mean, Shard didn't want to play against it, and nobody does.
If people want to make a highlight montage of predicting bans, red side, Camille, Rengar, LeBlanc maybe. Just give me the triple ping right there, and then you can look at the blue side, obviously what's left here. Surprisingly, Splyce are opting in double support ban. That does mean that they're looking for an early pick on a strong support, and then hopefully there's nothing left to even have to pincer out. Maybe they just go... What would they go here? Early Karma is the only thing that would make sense.
Well, Mickey's also, remember, we call him the Bard God a couple of times. Is that something you think is early pickable?
No.
There you go. You're the expert on this champion.
As much as I love Bard, Pyra, he has plenty of weaknesses.
Yeah. Well, we might end up seeing the Karma. We'll see. The MF support's still up, but you don't really need it.
It's only a counter.
Yeah, I know.
They've banned out all the good champions that Misfortune is good against. So let's see what Splyce is actually doing with this draft, or if it's just generic target bans at Hachani and they want to put him out of his comfort zone. You don't give him the aggro supports in lane and basically tempered down the Vitality bot lane.
So with the Kha'Zix ban, we saw, of course, the Rengar's going to come in. Like, it's going to happen no matter what if he's not banned out. So Trashy will get his hands on that. Curious to see what he makes of it. It's a little bit of a different style champion than he usually likes to play, but it's top tier.
Yeah, but it's top tier. If you're a jungler in a competitive scene right now, you should be able to play Rengar, but this is just interesting that Vitality rate Kha'Zix over Rengar, or rather they rate Trashy's Kha'Zix over a potential Rengar, and they need to have a counter pick ready, or they're willing to sacrifice the Rengar to get 2 picks in return. But then they have to be worth it. So their first opening rotation for Vitality has to be super strong.
Well, they got the Jace, but they also picked up an Ivern for Joko, so things are kind of turning around a little bit. It was Trashy playing the last time.
And Vitality is indicating that they're very much so going to be playing around the top side, because not only with the 2 picks that they have revealed, they will need to pick an AD carry third. If they don't, then there is basically only Ashe, Jhin that can be picked, and Varus, and one of them will be picked, the other one will be squeezed. So Splyce is picking Ashe Karma right now, the strongest support left, the strongest AD carry left. Vitality can only pick up an AD carry, or they will get double pinched in the AD carry position, which gives them a horrible matchup altogether. And even then, Vitality, if they pick the AD carry here, they'll lose support power. So Splyce is getting a lot of edge in the bot lane. Vitality will need to make up for that in the top lane.
Yeah, Vitality definitely got mind gamed in the pick and bans versus Unicorns of Love, but they've actually opted, instead of the Jhin, they pick up the Caitlyn now for steal back, instead of picking a support when the Jhin was up.
Yeah, and that doesn't really make too much sense. So usually you would think either Varus or Jhin get locked in here, especially the Jhin into Ashe matchup. You could go Caitlyn, but why don't you just let them pinch it? And if you're fine with playing the Caitlyn altogether, I don't think the Caitlyn will actually get banned out in the next rotation by Splyce. So you could have had a favorable support pick here and then not get banned out, because that's likely what Splyce are going to do. They can either pinch mid here, but then there's still plenty of champions available, or they pinch support. So it's very likely that Splyce is just going to double ban support, put Hachani on something really hard to play.
Yeah, well, there's the Tahm Kench banned away. Poppy was banned on Vitality's side, so Wonder's still going to have to lock a top himself. But
obviously, when you lock a top in yourself and the enemy player hasn't played picked the top lane yet, you're just going to pinch out the strong counters. So you get rid of the Poppy, even because it outscales the Jace.
Yeah.
And you may just want to get rid of the Maokai if you are Vitality, because Splyce stylistically probably want to tank in the top lane since they have a carry jungler. That's kind of how it kind of ties together usually.
There we go. As you called it, Maokai is taken away. So a lot less top choices available, but Splyce still have one more ban, and then it goes back Vitality's way.
Yeah, I mean, what support's left here to ban out if you're Splyce? Tahm Kench was the meta support. MF is a counter to Zyra and Malzahar. She's still fine on her own, but maybe you just ban out something stupid like a Thresh or a Sona. At this point, I don't even know if you need to ban a support.
There's a Thresh.
There's a Thresh, because like, it's just you ban away laning power. That's what Splyce is doing right now.
Yeah.
They don't give laning power to Steelback and Hachani, who get put behind the draft. And now, if you are Hachani, I don't even know what you want to play here. Maybe just a Sona, Soraka, something that just neutralizes bot lane. And Vitality as a whole, as a unit, they'll need to play towards the top side.
I mean, you want to stop some, this is a very pokey lane. It's obviously been very dominant down bottom side.
Oh, there's Nami,
Sustain,
obviously.
there's Nami available. I was going to ask you about Braum, but I think this is probably the case.
Oh, Nami's a much better pick. I just completely forgot she existed altogether. She's actually a fine pick into the Karma as well, so I don't think Vitality's punished that much. I would have rather seen the Nami ban out then. If you're going to play double poke, Ashe Karma, into a Caitlyn range advantage in that matchup, I think Nami would have actually been a better ban than Thresh.
All right, so a lot to critique in the ban portion at least. And for the picks, we see what Splyce is going to round out. Still all the same.
I'm just a Diamond 1 scrub lord.
You know what?
I might be wrong
Hey,
here.
man, I'm getting my info from you, but we'll see. Splyce, wonder he's got the Shen available to him. He's going to take it. And another safe mid lane pick for Sencooks. We have the Corki, so they round out their comp. What are they looking to do with all this? The Rengar tells me snowball.
I mean, you're blind picking mid lane, and if you have to do that and you don't want to lose mid lane priorities,
they do in the early game, and probably won't expect to see a whole lot in the top lane since it's a wet noodle fight, but there is that double global availability. All right, as the coaches shake hands, get ready to walk off. Here we go, our players are ready to take to the Rift. Let's get into game number 1 between Vitality and Splyce.
I think with Vitality, in this split, we can go for top 3 at least. We think so we can be a top contender in EU.
And here we are, both teams hunting, hungry for victory here. Somebody's got to walk away with it. Is it going to be Splyce or is it going to be Vitality?
It'll definitely be interesting, especially Vitality. I'm trying to get the puzzle pieces together and figure out why would they just flex that Jace into the mid lane. There's matchups that are fine into Corki. Yes, Jace struggles against Shen, but with pressure from your jungler, you should be able to define. Because what they, in the end, what they elected to do was make an all-physical composition with limited magic damage. They only have the base damage from Ivern, which falls off very quickly, and the base damage from Nautilus in terms of magic damage, into a champion pick in the top lane that can build extremely tanky and is rewarded for itemizing one way. If a Shen can stack armor, he's a very happy camper.
That's very true. It could be a tough point for Vitality the later on this game goes. And you said trying to put the puzzle pieces together. I am curious if they maybe trust Nukeduck to be able to be this carry more reliably than Cabochard.
Yeah, and in the draft phase, Splyce obviously want to reduce that power from this bot lane, steal back Hanachani. The Fisher touched on it. He would like to see Vitality, especially in the group that they're in, play more around this bot lane, but they've been hamstrung in the pick and ban phase. 2 supports banned out immediately, and then support double pinched afterwards, forcing Achani on the Nami. Nami Caitlyn is a strong lane, however, and has a fine matchup into Ashe and Karma. Yeah,
not only that, you talked about Steelback being kind of a very, very reliable player and protecting his KDA, but also being able to clean up kills last week, and it's something that, you know, kept them competitive.
Yeah, Steelback is a good player. He got dubbed the moniker of the cleanup AD carry very early on, but he also showed that when he's in a team that is struggling, he can still carry, and he did that last year.
Yeah, saw a lot of that on Rocket. Take a look at Joko, just continuing to get his clears out very, very quick, but he does spend a lot of time kind of wandering between once those camps are gone.
Yeah, he's going for the power clear, which gets him to level 4 the quickest. It's the standard Ivern clear, honestly. You enchant one camp, take blue, enchant the other one, go to your other side, then he's going to go for Raptor's red, walk back to his blue side, get those camps, and then return to the top side again. It's for optimizing experience. The only alternative path you can do is an invade-heavy path, but Joko likely doesn't feel comfortable to invade that early on, especially if he's not certain about the lane priority, which lanes are pushing, because if you invade blind as Ivern and you screw up, the game's over.
Yep, indeed. Now, Trashy, I want to keep an eye on him because this will be the first time we get to see him on this Rengar. It had been Joko who played it previously, but was unable to delete anybody on the side of Unicorns, and that was a big part of why they got shut down. So I'm wondering why they let this one through.
Yeah, they must have really valued the Jace flex pick. That could be like the only explanation, really. Quite peculiar overall. In the end, let me take a look at what's going on here for Vitality. Got pushed in early on in the bot lane. Obviously, there's double AoE on the side of Ashe and Karma, so they can always get the lane control.
That's real pokey.
The problem is that you don't really punish the Caitlyn too much. If you try and threaten the Caitlyn too much, she's gonna get sustained out to poke that Karma does. And if you try to auto-attack trade on top of that, she has really good short-term answers. EQ, EW channel, for example, with the empowered autos from Nami, I think generally you're fine.
Yeah, and if you've got a headshot lined up, that's going to sting even worse. Cabochard is going to go throw down some early vision. You can see as Trashy had already backed away, he's going to be moving through there. They'll be spotting him, and back to lane he goes.
Pretty smart to do that at 330. Basically, you see the leash on top side, which means you're fine for a couple of minutes. Then you play until around 330, and instead of warding River, you go for the deep ward, because you know if he comes back to the left side of the jungle, why don't you just ward his camp? And then if he has to gank you, he has to take an inefficient experience-wise path. And as long as you double ward then in River, you will always spot Trashy. You'll either spot him on the Scuttle Crab, or you'll spot him on the Gromp that he skipped. So it's actually pretty smart from Vitality, working together with their wards instead of doing the selfish thing, which is just ward as closest to the lane as you can.
And gives Joko the opportunity to roam through the jungle and get a few more wards of his own. Throws down some brush over by the Krugs. Of course, it's missing, and he is going in for a gank around the side, but this lane pushed. Good work.
This one has to stick. He knows Tribrush is very unlikely to be warded here, but he's coming up at the minions.
Root Collar.
See it.
Mickey does avoid the bubble, but they were able to react in time. Hachani actually takes a lot of poke on the back half, though.
It was good that the snare landed, but the problem is, if Nami has played passive the entire laning phase, and she starts storming at you into a minion wave, you may be getting ganked.
Bit of a giveaway, yeah, for sure. All right, so Hachani, unfortunately, kind of blows it on that one, but all things even across the board for the most part. Trashy hasn't been in a lane just yet, but he is back onto the Gromp.
And if you're a jungler that has a level 6 power spike like Rengar, and you're playing versus a jungler that has a really strong level 4 gank, and you see it fail, you're just so happy. A lot of pressure falls off your shoulders, because you know you can just match until level 6, and then just get that free gank off.
And Trashy definitely needs that as well. I mean, he's a player who has had to try and compensate for some lanes just not doing so hot on his team. I mean, they lost by such a wide margin last week, and you know, Trashy's a guy who likes to spend a lot of time in the jungle, and he's kind of being called upon more and more, but he's on a Rengar. He can definitely get some big ganks off.
Yeah, if you look at Splyce week 1 performance, it wasn't pretty. Look at that. We touched upon it on the analyst list, but 2K down on average at 15, and then 9,000 gold down at 25 minutes. Those are beyond stomps, really. That went from 0 to 100 real quick. So they need to fix that one.
Yeah. Looks like they could be in for a very different style of game. Kabi and Mickey pushing in very well on this bottom side, and they haven't been too perturbed by Joko's visit down there. They do know that Trashy is back in his own jungle. Those wards are paying dividends for Vitality.
Yeah, big ban really working out for Splyce so far. They have pressure in the mid lane, with Senk explained that Corki, despite getting surprised, quote-unquote, by the Jace flex pick. Their tank is even farming in the top lane, and Wunder has shown historically that he's just a fantastic Shen player. And how do you leverage the power of Shen? Well, it is the infamous bot lane party. And what do you need for bot lane parties? Well, you need a pushing bot lane. And Splyce also has that in Ashe and Karma. Vitality have been parked under their tier 1 turret in the bot lane, so the cards are all right. Just need to see if Splyce can actually play their hand.
Well, that's the question. Can they execute on what they've managed to build for themselves? And all eyes are definitely going to be on Trashy. There's so many wards that they've had covering him, but I mean, where is he going to be able to go to get involved in here? Because the Shen can be delivered pretty easily on anybody, but you'd think Trashy hopping out of the bushes is the easiest mechanism.
Oh, that's the dream. Rengar ulti into Shen ulti, preferably in the bot lane, killing that poor old Nami. She only has 1 exhaust. That is the dream, obviously.
She's got some boots, though, walk now.
Yeah, could be a strong counter gank for Joko.
That's all possible. BF Swords picked up for both, and we'll take a look at mid as Trashy was looking to come in a little slow, and Nuke Duck had spotted him out, and he's able to walk away for free. Mickey X heading up towards top side, but he was spotted too.
No, he just goes in for a little poke. They were trying to do a double pincer there. If you get first base priority, which means you're pushing the wave, you can base. What that means is that the wave will bounce on bot lane, so Ashe can catch it very safely, and it frees up the support roughly for 30 seconds to 45 seconds. And Mickey decided to use that window to get some pressure mid. Again, playing the pressure game here for Splyce.
Yeah, working out well for them. For Vitality, though, they do have some pretty scary scaling when you look at the Caitlyn and the Jace, but it is, as you said, all AD. So you'd think that this can really bite them if it comes down to those late game fights, I should say.
Yeah, and you can feel kind of the pressure weighing on Hachani. If you look what he bought Ruby Crystal, boots, and 2 potions, which means he was roughly on 800 gold. right there. Exactly. So he could have bought a side stone, but then he would have 0 potions, and he probably didn't feel comfortable going for just wards, no pots into that bot lane. But now he's playing with much fewer vision compared to Mickey, which actually enables Trashy to go for some of these lane ganks here, because they're only relying on trinket wards on the side of Vitality.
Ooh.
But they're relying on them pretty well.
It worked out this time. So Trashy walks right in. Vitality back right off, and it's going to be a few pot shots on tower for now. Steal back into Chani, staying safe as they can, making do with what they got.
And that shouldn't happen, because that's a freshly placed ward. It only had 10 seconds on the cooldown. That is a communication error. If you've already control warded your first brush in lane, you should never allow the enemy AD carry or support to ward lane and not see it, and not communicate that to your jungle. Because now Cabochard is smiling. He's like, Rengar could technically kill me. It'll take a while. He sees in bot lane. Cabochard is pressure for a minute now.
And this is the kind of mistake that you can't really make when you are a seasoned squad. These guys are coming off of a Worlds trip. They've made no changes to their roster, building up infrastructure. And honestly, that's the kind of thing that's maybe forgivable if you're a new team, but not for Splyce.
It's refinement, but the beauty lies in the details, and it's all those little things that add up. Now Mickey sweeps the ward, which was confirmed to be there anyways. It's a trinket ward, not much value, sweepers on cooldown. I mean, what's the point, right? Rengar was just bumped. Vitality's gonna know he's topside right now. You don't actually need to sweep that ward.
Yeah, they're having a hard time really getting things going, so that's been a slow early game. The gold lead is in Splyce's favor, but it's really only by about 700 right now. Magical number when you talk Splyce, that 15-minute negative 700, but it's going the other way for them this time.
They're definitely happy with this Pyro, and we're nitpicking. Splyce is still playing the globally the thing right. They're pushing mid, they're pushing bot, and they have a Shen in the top lane who's going even. So that is all really good. We're just trying to kind of polish off the edges here.
Yeah. To be fair, the Shen's going more than even at this point. He's been pushing him back and pushing him in. So Cabochard hasn't had much space to move around. And here comes Trashy finding Nuke Dog. Didn't hit the Bola. Fast Bomb connects, but Trashy, look how low he is. He's got a flash. And Daisy comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a tense moment. Trashy was in and he was out.
Costly mistake there from Trashy. Really good opening. They find Nuke Dog face checking for vision. So Splyce was ahead of the movement, but mechanical errors there kind of throw away that play, forcing the Rengar to waste a flash early on.
And he's spotted by another ward down bottom. So Vitality have had eyes on it. Sencooks is now coming for a roam, but they spot him too. Here's the party, but Vitality knows it's coming.
Yeah, definitely coming. Look at that turret, already so low, Pyra. The pressure is mounting up. Vitality on the verge of losing that first turret.
Looks like they will. Daisy's coming in for some help at Splyce. They might be getting cold feet right now. Turret will fall. Do they take the fight? Kobbe has Stand United on him. Trashy can't get involved anymore, and even though the channel completes.
Yeah, and you can feel the communication breakdown in Vitality. This was long coming. This is not a surprise that this turret is falling already at 10 minutes right now. The composition from Splyce is entirely catered to do that, so you could predict it pretty much from pick and ban that this lane would be pushing. Steal back and Chani, they do fine in the CS point of view, but they will always get pressured and eventually lose their turret.
So it is said, and so it happened. 10 minutes in, it's 2,000 gold advantage to Splyce. Now, is that going to be enough? The way this game is going right now, it has been very low action, but not for lack of trying.
Honestly, I think Splyce is still playing better strategically than Vitality. If you look at Joko, he had the Rengar last week where he had to find an opening. It was paramount to the chances of victory that he gets that opening. He didn't find a single gank. He's playing Ivern now, where he could really enable some of these carries. He could either out CC top lane, level 3 or 4, maybe get some pressure mid against the Corki, force a Valkyrie at least. He's done neither. He's just been farming.
After Trashy's part, he's been trying. Oop, avoids the route, and he's just able to clear out that ward. Joko, Hachani, you know, they're bringing everybody up to the top side, push back against this turret, and
standard meta play.
Once it happens after the lane's over.
Yep, you lose your bot tower, so you send your bot lane to the top lane, and obviously the opposing team will match that. But again, priority for Splyce. They move into the river. They don't walk over the Scuttle Crab, but they kind of give some pressure here, because Vitality, they just saw the Splyce bot lane leave lane, but they have no clue where they went. They could be right around mid right now, setting up an arrow on the corner. So Nuke Dog, he's playing back because he doesn't know where Ashe is. Ashe is now going to reveal topside, and only then are they sure that they're safe.
It always just seems like a step behind, but they have been able to spot out what Splyce has been doing, even if they can't really stop it. Vitality have the information thanks to the vision they've secured. Steelback and Hachani are going to take a hit from the empowered Q, and Kobbe takes an ace in the hole, but he's shielded up right after.
Yeah, a very complex situation for Vitality to get out of. They need to make a pick, but they're constantly behind on the movement. And this was Splyce's strength, especially in the later stages of summer. They really understood the map once it opened up.
They don't really give any openings at all, and it kind of has been the same story this time around. Vitality have kind of been boxed in, and now Trashy is going invisible. There's no tower to fall back to, but Kabashard is just going to immediately burn his flash. Wonder's on top of him. He knows it's coming, but Daisy is out from the backside right now. They get 2 stuns off. They pull him back in, however. He comes back in himself, I should say, and now he thinks he can take that fight. They're blocking it up. Kabashard's healthy. Trashy does not live through it, and first blood secured.
Gotta love Daisy. If you ever want to counter gank anything, pop that Daisy out, let her whack away. She is strong.
It's just not fair, man. It's 2-on-1 no matter what you do. So Vitality managed to pick up a kill and even a little bit more of that gold out, cutting the lead down to about 1,000. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, Steelback and Shani have taken the lane to a different front, continually pushing back and forth with Kabi and Mickey.
And it begs the question, Splyce, their entire early game was catered around leveraging the push from their bot lane into securing a turret using global pressure, right? And if you play against globals, what do you want to do the most? Attack the global. You don't want to play around any other lane because Shen is going to ulti. So it is so counterintuitive for Splyce to actually gank the tank lane. You already don't want to gank tank lanes because it takes ages to kill and sets up for counter ganks very well. But in this scenario, why don't you just go top if you're Trashy? You pressure the dive, you pop the ulti, and you tell Steelback and Achani, guys, I'm going to jump you. It's going to happen. Please just walk away from the turret, take the top tower, and keep rotating. That was Splyce's forte in last season, and right now they just go for an ill-advised gank in the top lane, and it backfires.
Yeah, it cost Trashy his life, as you see on your screen last week, and he was really not having a great set of games. Really a lot lower on the level that we kind of expect a lot of junglers, especially considering how much praise he gets from a lot of Europe in general.
Yeah, he was just honestly struggling to make a mark, which he is in this game as well. Last week, he wasn't being held by Senkux, honestly getting wrecked in the mid lane 1v1. But this game, I think we can be or we can bash him a little bit for his mistakes. I think he went for the wrong gank at the wrong time, and he wasn't playing around Splyce's pressure points.
Yep. Bit of an error there from Trashy. We'll see if he can make amends. They dodge out from the root. Hachani, the arrow comes in. It's going to land. They are just going to melt through the Nami. And all of a sudden,
I want to see, Pyra. You get the package, you move with the mid lane, you get the priority, and then you roam top, and you keep playing around this bot lane that pushes in and gets a turret. That's what they need to do. And Splyce, they figure it out. They made one mistake, but they bounce back, and they get the turret.
Oh, man, it was a nice 1-2 punch, and they get themselves right back up in the gold game. 3,000 in the lead. We're hitting that 15-minute mark. Splyce revitalized here. They're moving towards mid.
And look at Nukeduck. He's essentially just hugging his turret. He got roamed on, but because it happened so fast, and Splyce actually pushed out mid first, and then went for the move. Look at the minimap. There's no wave in the mid lane for 20 more seconds. Nukeduck is watching this, walking to top lane, walking back to the mid lane, and then the wave's there. So this is good wave management and setup from Splyce, and they drive it home.
It's the stuff that they were known for when they were at their best. And Senkux, I just want to give him some really big props for that beautiful package valve to knock the Nami right into the arrow. And it all was downhill for Vitality from there. And Vitality, they are playing scared for good reason.
Yeah. Because they're getting pushed in on 2 lanes, and the third lane can't do anything because he's playing versus a global. So that's a big drafting issue, and it takes us back to the champ slide where we had so many questions about some of these pickups, about some of these champ choices. Why do you go for the Caitlyn when Jhin and Varus are open? They're meta picks for a reason.
Yeah, Vitality definitely playing it a little bit strange right now, and it's kind of biting them. Question is, what are they going to do from here? It looks like they might be holding out for that late game, but if things keep on going this way, Trashy goes invisible.
I think they might be dying
knows
here.
What's up? I think so. Oh, he's caught in the bullet. In comes Senkux. They're burning through his health bar. There's a teleport, but Shen's also coming. The wave comes in. All of a sudden, Vitality, they're going to counter collapse here. But will Nukeduck live through it? The Ash Arrow is going to land. Trashy's gone down. And Kabashard picks up that kill. And all of a sudden, it is a hectic fight up top with Hachani caught in River. He won't live for long. Down he goes to Wonder.
Down he goes. Everybody splits up. Hachani finds himself alone on Nami, which means he obviously dies here. Good reaction from Vitality. Their strength lies in their numbers. Obviously, the way to beat a global is to just render it useless. Don't allow it to kind of outmaneuver you on the map and just go for sheer fighting power. Nautilus and Iron, especially at this point in the game, bring so much crowd control effects to the fights, especially if Trashy's ulti is down. He is essentially a glorified damage bot, and he's not snowballing either.
Yeah,
Let's look at this again. So there's the preemptive redemption from Joko. Good. He factors in the flash. Nukeduck stalls, has exhaust too if he needs to. There's a really beautiful wave here from Achani, and what we can criticize is the usage of the Shen ulti. It's a little late. Splyce thought this was a free kill. They didn't communicate that they may need help. Wunder arrives to kind of fix the problem, but Vitality have already set the counterplay in motion.
Vitality do it well. It ends up being a 1-for-1 trade, and You know, in all honesty, Hachani definitely not taking the greatest path, going back to the bad tendencies that kind of earned him a bit of a memey name.
Yeah, but I think we can excuse him for this one. It's really hard to play this map as a Nami. That's one of the kind of the faults of this pick. I mean,
maybe why they pinched him, though, I mean, in all honesty.
Oh, yeah, I mean, definitely nobody wants to play Nami as, like, their preferred choice, especially if you're not going to end up pushing. She's super strong in sustain matchups, like Soraka, or sometimes even Sona, because you can still generate the push. The problem with Karma is that she just Qs the wave, and then unless your AD carry has much more AoE, which it also doesn't have, Steelback has some form of AoE and Q, but Ashe can spam more, you just get pushed in all the time.
Which we saw exactly a moment ago. So, taking stock 2-2 in those kills, so it has been a couple of trades back and forth. But Splyce, they're still on the lead. They're still pushing in, and Vitality just have not been able to come up with an answer short of counter-collapsing when it's gone wrong.
Yeah, this is also the era of this composition for Vitality. In the mid to late game, it's a 1-3-1 with Jace on a side lane, which exposes him to Rengar all the time. And because he can be safe versus Rengar, but he can only be safe when he's relatively close to his turret, which means this Corki, who can easily dodge ganks on his own with Valkyrie, can always pressure the Jace, who has a hard time playing on his side lane, because Vitality have to match AD carry support for AD carry support in the mid lane versus Splyce here. So they find themselves in a bind. They get pushed in mid and top consistently, and bottom lane, it doesn't matter that Nautilus is pushing, because Shen has ulti, and he can always make it a 5v4 on the top side of the map. Happening again.
There we go. Trashy's on to Nukeduck. They bring Wonder to the party. Can't get back into the safety of his turret. Suncooks is there. Nukeduck trying to dodge it out, but he's not going to live. Trashy picking up the kill, tanks a few shots.
And Splyce is doing exactly that. Look at Caboshot. He's like, guys, what am I supposed to do here? I can push this turret, but that's just about it. Splyce, whenever they get a kill, because these lanes are so close to the turrets, they immediately start hitting these structures and get even more benefits from each and every pick they get.
Yeah, Choco showing up a little bit late, but he does clear the wave out. Still not in time to stop some damage from going down onto the turret. Splyce are really just owning this as we get close to the 20-minute mark, taking a look at some of their items as well. They're just rolling on ahead. Trinity Force, of course, the Rengar had completed the Black Cleaver as well, so they're really getting some damage in their pocket. And Kabi's Ashe is starting to stack it up too.
Yeah, and if you're a Vitality fan right now, you're just seeing your team roll over and do nothing. Steelback is so scared of dying that he's gone QSS. He has BF Sword, Quicksilver Sash to fight his Ashe Arrow.
Yeah, that's going to delay him so significantly. I mean,
even
Vitality
Yamato is squinting at that build. He's like, no, it's not a very good build. But
well, in this case, you're right.
What do you do now? Like, you're two physical damage dealers. The enemy Shen already has Sunfire Cape and he's going to soon stack even more armor. You're playing versus a Rengar. You have no damage whatsoever. You're getting picked off. The only thing you can do with Vitality is group and pray for a good team fight.
Yeah, see if it ends up happening. Right now, you're concentrating 3 members in the mid, but you still have the sideways pushing against them, and they've had Nukeduck and Caboshard on those for a while. Dragons haven't really been a huge priority this game, but with the Cloud being entirely free, Trashy's going to take the opportunity to get himself a little bit more speed and the rest of his team as well. Yeah. First one's going to fall 28.5. Baron, of course, is on the Rift too, and if Vitality lose a couple of members, Splyce may not be too shy at taking that one down with the damage they've got.
I think it's a great choice to go for as many dragons as you can, as long as you have map control, because it allows you later on to trade Elder for Dragon, for Baron rather, just in case you need some more objective pressure. I think Splyce, you can tell what turret they're playing for, where they place the Corki. So they're playing for butt turret right now. I don't think they're comfortable just yet going for a Baron, because if they make any vision mistake on that Baron play, they allow Vitality to group and use their wealth of crowd control effects to really fire back. So it looks like they're trying to set up maybe a rotation into the mid, from Corki going from bot to mid, or they might just rotate for tier 2 in the bottom lane. Right now they're looking for a pick in the mid lane.
Yeah, and they've got the ults available on Wonder if they want to keep diving this one. Hachani taking a lot of damage, but he had some backup. Steelback was there, so was Joko. But look at how fast they can just melt through this wave. Vitality just don't have any options right now.
Yeah, they're looking for them.
See if they're going to be mixing things up after this game, because right now they just don't seem to have any answers. 4K down.
It's hard on the players too. Like, but by all means, when we say like games are won and lost in picks and bans, they're obviously all playable, but you just get put in very, very tough spots where, especially when you vision toggle, the amount of choices for Vitality is very low. Like, look at what vision they have. There's barely anything. They're always face checking essentially, and as Nami.
Yeah, that's definitely not what you want to be doing.
Yeah, look, everything's dark, and nobody wants to step out, and there's all the turrets available, so every wave you push in, if there's nobody there, it bounces back naturally. And if not, like, what do? This brush next to Baron, face check, they could be there. The brush right next to that, face check, could be there. And God forbid you walk in anywhere and you die, the game is actually over. Because then they take Baron and they close out. So you're constantly hugging your turret. So when they rotate, you're always late to the action, and your cross-map play or your cross-turret play doesn't even get to be, because by the time they're done in one lane, they'll just walk back to you and cancel you out.
Yeah, it did seem like they were holding out a little bit, but, you know, just unable to stop anything Splyce was trying to do. Maybe foiling a gank here or there, stopping Trashy just a little bit. But he's not been, you know, as necessary, because it's just the threat of him is still that real. And Wonder, constantly able to move across the map with his ultimate, with his teleport, is just giving Vitality so few options. And I think it really reveals that this is a team that is still, you know, playing a little too solo queuey too.
Now for Splyce, obviously they need to keep snowballing. They need to keep using the same good things that they were doing, which is leveraging the push on these side lanes, or at least on one of the side lanes and the mid lane. And basically it's up to Trashy right now. He can pierce through the armor of Vitality. They're bolstering up, they're turtling, but he can crack that shell with a good Rengar ultimate.
Well, eye's definitely on him this time around. 2-2 on this Rengar. He keeps on stacking the damage, has Merc Treads as well. Prevent himself from being locked up for too long, but they have found Nukeduck, and Wonder's coming in. It is a 2-on-3 because Daisy's there, and a teleport gets canceled by Cabo immediately. Splyce back out.
Yeah, the first map movement was there still from Splyce, though. Corki was already in the jungle. You see Steelback kind of struggling here as well. He can't clear the wave in one go. He's not that, honestly, that Varus that could have maybe done it. That's why red side Varus is just such a good pick there over in the LCK. Every time it's open, people just lock it in.
And not this time. Very strange, but still paying for it right now. Mickey and Wonder are going to be moving in onto Cabo Shard. They're bringing Kabi around as well. Taunt flashed out, but in comes Trashy. So Cabo Shard, he may be the tankiest member of this team, but they might just be able to lock him down. Vitality, they're here. Hachani sends the wave flying. Wonder's cut off for a moment, and they turn back around to him. But all of a sudden, they're onto Hachani, melting his health bar, but he's got a shield up. Nukeduck coming in, trying to push them back.
Senkic's trying to poke from the side. He hits the Grump here, so mistakes on both sides. Vitality, this was a decent fight for them. Trying to fight back. Trashy wins the war over the Grump.
Daisy marching through the front line, though. Trashy going to be able to escape. Vitality can't get anything. Splyce can't either, though. Bad
habits, though. You see it again. Engaging on them tanks. They already had the teleport priority. All they had to do was put another map play in motion and then use their teleport advantage.
Yeah, I committed quite hard to it, but they will be able to secure a turret in the mid. So that is number 3. Splyce have now knocked down all the outers. Vitality have yet to take one for themselves. They have just played the defensive game.
And if Yamato could talk to the Splyce boys right now, he would tell them, guys, in an obviously much deeper voice, put the Shen on the bot lane, use that pressure, force Cabochard to match you, and then use the push that you naturally generate with your composition in the top and the mid lane to get deep vision in the red side jungle. Put some control wards, put some vision, make Vitality scared to face check, and then pull the trigger. Shen ulti goes in, Cabochard has no teleport, or he's late on the trigger, and that is the deciding move for this game. If you're not sure or uncertain about setting it up, you can go for a consolation prize in the Cloud Drake, because that essentially makes your map moves even faster. But Splyce is already powerful enough to make that move. They're 5,000 gold ahead right now. They could easily do it.
When we take a look at how the damage has been dealt this game, Nukeduck, they've been relying on him quite a lot, and that is what can happen. That Jace, the Black Cleaver build, definitely gets rolling a little bit earlier, but the problem is Nukeduck, as you said, was hugging his tower, and if he keeps doing it, well, he's got, you know, another one to have to fall back to. He's not going to be anywhere on the map.
Yeah, what's the point in dealing 9,000 damage if the enemy team could just base, heal it up, and it doesn't cost them anything? Vitality hasn't gotten a single turret. That means you're either playing really bad or you're drafted really bad.
I think it definitely is a mix of both right about now. So Trashy heading up towards top side. Joko is going to scout out if the Baron is being taken. It is not, so they move up towards the top to clear this vision out. I mean, it's clockwork for Splyce right now.
I'm loving it. You push in the mid lane, safe. Look at where Cobb is playing. He's far enough that he doesn't get picked off, but close enough that he reveals at least Nami and Kaelin. That's 2 dots off the map. Cabochard reveals in the bot lane. Okay, done. There's 2 more people missing. So what do we need in the top lane? Just 2 people. The Rengar and a Corki. Corki has package, which is safe. He pushes up, reveals a Jace. Okay, we've accounted for 4 people. Just gotta find the Ivern. Once that's done, Splyce have all the information, and they just need to move the pieces on the chessboard, choke out the vision.
So Senkux and Trashy have backed off for now. They're going to let Nukeduck push this one back out, but they're heading towards the mid, continually poking and prodding to try and find themselves a way to push deeper and deeper into Vitality territory, who are running out of space to throw down these wards. So as you said, they've been blind a good chunk of the game, and you know, when they're backed up against an edge, they can't get anything else.
Yeah, and Joko right now, he sits on a sweeper himself. There's 2 sweepers from Vitality to keep the vision outside of their jungle, but the problem is they have very few wards. They need to essentially escort Hachani into the Baron pit. There's these brush spawns that give vision briefly, but I don't think it keeps giving them vision otherwise, and they're trying to find ways to get some vision. But look how dark it is. Any corner they take too fast, it's a face check. And they're playing a support that can just get evaporated instantly.
I mean, if this game goes a really, really long time, I mean, you've got Kaylin will scale up. The Jace should still do some damage, but I mean, is that even really going to be enough?
No, Pyra, because it's just like we talked about in Champ Select. They're only running physical damage dealers. Ultra late game, the Shen is going to have a field trip. It'll just go Randowins, Thornmail, and he'll just stand there.
Yeah.
So it's like, thank you guys very much for essentially killing yourselves by hitting me.
And in the meantime, you know, I mean, it's still pretty hard to deal with the damage that the rest of Splyce is bringing out. The Corki now has the Hextech Gunblade completed, and you know, it's all that gold difference because Splyce are just making the proactive plays, pushing them back and not giving them what they need to get gold.
And that's Splyce investing in the mid game. Senkux here going for the 2-item spike, which is Triforce Gunblade. There's obviously that iteration where you go Triforce into Infinity Edge and then the Rapid Fire Cannon, which is the best 3-item core build the Corki can have. But Splyce, they know they're comfortable in the mid game. They don't need more. They just need to spike really hard right now and just get even more benefits from that.
Yep. So what is the danger here, if anything, for Splyce? What is stopping them from just going hard in the mid with all 5 members?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, a bad Baron. Taking some damage, allowing Joko to get close and steal it. And again, Vitality, they could technically win fights if they group the entire game. While grouping, while the enemy's already low from Baron, and then getting a surprise Baron buff for your team is the only way Splyce will lose. And that's the only way Vitality will win. So it's all centered around this Baron, and that's why there's so much tension here. That's why Joko is so desperately trying to get these pink wards up, even though he's sweeping when he only has control wards. Bit of a waste.
Yeah.
They just want to avoid any wards behind them. They don't want Wunder to teleport into the jungle. They are happy as long as they can see something of the Baron, and they're saving their blue trinkets for when Splyce inevitably start that Baron.
Yeah, they've definitely been making sure that at least where they control on the map, they also have that vision. I mean, the game plan for them really has been Resident Sweeper.
Yeah.
See if they can keep this one going. Vitality backed up time and time again, but Splyce, they are thinking the time might be soon for the big purple worm. They can clear out vision here. Trashy has got it.
Lack of control wards though on Splyce in the pit.
Started it.
They started it. So this is defendable for Vitality. Blue trinket will go down and they'll get the information. That's one.
Mickey's blocking if he can, but there is always a chance for the steal.
50-50. They could coordinate with the Jace here. Joko.
Could be impatience.
They're looking at him. He has to steal
He's going in. Joko's trying to guess it. Joko's in. Joko's out. And Splyce walk away empty-handed.
Splyce just set up a play for over 7 minutes.
They're going to try. Here we go. Nuke Duck. They're going to try to pull them off right now. See if they can just take the Baron buff off 1, off 2. They've got it, but can Vitality kite back and keep themselves alive? It looks like the answer is yes. They paid for that Baron buff, though, Crepo.
Vitality just bought themselves more time. Obviously, we talked about how the scaling's not in their favor, but they have more time. They can hang in there. Hopefully they can tilt Splyce, because that was a big mistake. You don't go for 50-50 when it's the only play the enemy team can make. Reset the Nashor. Be happy you have 2 blue trinkets and do it all again.
They're going to be able to knock down a tower, but as you said, Vitality, they've got to be smiling at that one. They have a chance here. 3 members still up and available. 10 seconds on Hachani, 17 on Nuke Duck. Cabochard trying to tank, but look at how much damage Splyce is shredding through this tower, and they're onto the inhibs right now. They just don't care about the remaining members of Vitality, and they're going to walk away with that inhib.
Yeah, if you're going to play devil's advocate, you can always say that Splyce, maybe they said, you know what, even if we lose it, we're going to get the turret. If we can make some picks. But I think it was Vitality opting into that fight afterwards. They could have disengaged, it seems. Let's see. Joko's going to steal. Let's find out if Vitality can get away. Can they sacrifice Hachani and just reset the fight? So Cabochard is stuck. They probably have to yield him. Trashy's jumping again. Nuke Duck. I mean, just path upwards, man. Path into your team. Flash that Rengar. I think that's it. I think Vitality were just too tunneled on the fight. We're obviously speaking in very major hypotheticals here. But I think if you're Vitality, you're happy. You save those 5 Baron buffs, and you don't give Splyce a free inhib off 2 picks.
Yeah, I mean, for Vitality, this is like one of the few situations where you lose an inhib and you're like, you know what? I think we got something okay at least. Splyce, they're not going to be able to push as easily, but look at how the vision has changed. It was all Splyce up into the front line of Vitality, but now it's been mixed around a lot more.
Yeah, but does it really matter, Pyra? Now that 1 inhib is opened up, it's really easy for Splyce to start playing the map now. They can start rotating much easier because they can actually just guide in these super creeps and lock up 1 or 2 guys to defend versus them. For the first 3 minutes, it's fine because of the Baron buffs, but inhibs last, I think, 5 minutes in total. So there's going to be a 2-minute span where it's very easy for Splyce to play the map and just set it all up again.
It's very true. They definitely got a little hasty, but it seemed like they were able to capitalize on the fact that they had a good position on Vitality even after losing that Baron. So, you know, it seemed like cool heads did prevail after the mistakes.
Yeah. No, Splyce definitely really capitalized well on making those 2 picks, and they had to. Because if they get 5 buffs of Vitality for free, they essentially throw the game. Right now, they're still in control. They can easily do the same thing again. Learn from their mistakes. Make the setup.
And that is kind of Splyce in a nutshell. I mean, even when they were very green in the European LCS, it's a team that just was noted for never tilting, never being bothered, even when they had a really bad game, like what we saw last week.
They have really good team camaraderie, and I think that's very important. But it is because they were so good in summer that I'm so hypercritical of them, because the Splyce in summer would have not made that map play. That's my problem with it. They would have simply backed off, not given Vitality this 50-50. But yes, as a team historically, yes, you could talk to any of the Splyce members after the game, and they would never point fingers. They said, you know what, we failed. Today I failed. Tomorrow my jungler will fail. Tomorrow my top laner will fail. It doesn't matter. In the end, the goal is to be a good team. And it's also shown in the way their ownership works. If you talk to the co-owner, Marty, he consistently talks about how building a roster that stays the same, but where you invest a lot of time into, is his philosophy to not only win 1 championship, but win many championships. That's what Splyce want to do.
That's what they're banking on for sure. Still some mistakes being made by this team. Is it just the rust being shaken off? It is only week number 2 here in Europe. Maybe they need to pick up the pace, but they are on track to win this game, and it has been a slow affair, but that is much like we kind of come to expect from Splyce. They wanted to play that map, wanted to take it nice and easy.
But in terms of progression, if you look at how poor week 1 was, and we see what they overall brought to the table, week 2 has been a success so far. It was 80% good things in terms of draft and gameplay, and 20% mistakes. The only thing that really comes to mind is execution error on a few Rengar plays, and targeting Cabochard in the bot lane for the plays. And then, of course, that Baron. Everything else, in terms of pressure, moving across the map, was honestly splendid.
So definitely improvement marks for Splyce. It's for sure they've been able to secure all the dragons, so if they want to take the Elder when it comes up and available, they can, but they are pushing in all 3 lanes. It may not even be required. Cabochard going to try to push off Wonder, but Trashy's coming up, Mickey's coming up, Kabi's there as well. They can collapse on him, but he is really tanky, as you said, and he's clearing the wave away.
Yeah, this is the point where the Baron buff has expired, but there's still super creeps in the mid lane, giving it a natural push, allowing Splyce to oversee pressure all these lanes. Looks like they're willing to base, though. Got a lot of gold in the pocket.
Vitality still haven't been able to knock down a tower. I mean, looking at their side of the map, this has just got to be incredibly discouraging. And
yeah, I mean, at this point, feels like they're like these little kids that live on the farm that have never seen a big city. It's like, tell me, what does the river look like?
Is the river, in this case, like the team comp? You just never get to see a real one?
No. I mean, they'll eventually get a good draft. It's more or less literally the river. I don't think Cabochard has pathed or even walked on that river since a long time. The Baron fight was the last time, and even before that, they didn't really get it.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate for them. I want to see how they end up mixing up their draft. You know, there's something we haven't talked about either. They have the option, even though he's not doing awful or terrible by any metric, to swap out Joko to put in GBM, who is, you know, in an off-role position, but maybe that revitalizes them. We saw teams, even like SKT, doing this a little bit, just to mix things up, just to keep it fresh.
Spice it up, yeah.
Well, there's nothing spicier than GBM playing jungle, if you ask me.
I mean, it could.
We'll see what happens.
No team would know what to expect from GBM jungle.
I don't know if Vitality would.
I'm not even sure if GBM knows what to expect from GBM jungle at this point.
Well, we might see it. I mean, Joko, again, he's not been awful by any metric, but maybe they just needed something a little bit different. Like, 35 minutes into this game, and you've been able to get 2 kills and 0 objectives. Yeah. Something is wrong with the way you're playing the game out. Yeah,
Vitality definitely playing a low-pressure game. It feels like a lot of these champion picks for them worked in solo queue. Or in team practice, where it's a much more kind of a loose environment. If you play Caitlyn Nami in scrims, you can go all out, man. You can squeeze in that extra auto. You can go for that all in. If you're a support in scrims, you have faith you're gonna land that bubble. And if you don't, you land the next time. When you're on stage, you don't want to be that Nami that misses your bubble. You don't want to get out traded. You're just gonna go for even CS and pray. And if every lane goes from playing a bit more aggressive to a bit more passive, suddenly you as a team start losing the map. And if you're a jungle that is used to maybe scrimming in this environment, you're just like, the hell's going on? My team wins every lane in scrims, and I can't invade anyway right now.
You can't always rely on scrims for things to happen now. Vitality, not only are they playing so safe, but obviously we talked about delayed builds a little bit, the QSSs to keep everybody from dying, but you can't see it, so it doesn't matter. If you just get instantly bopped, they could be doing Baron right now, and they are.
They are. Now it's against, and this Baron is absolutely free, even if they know. There's nothing Vitality can do about it, so this is a much better setup from Splyce in the end. And it all came in the end off the back of that inhibitor pressure. It was just, yeah, I guess I'm just a little whiny, and I don't want to see that Baron go over to Vitality.
That's okay, man. You can give them the A-. So far, Splyce are playing this one out just so much better compared to what we saw. This is a very different quality of opponent, though. I mean, Vitality, they have got to mix things up. I want to see what the coach says to them after this game. I mean, Arian's got his work cut out for him.
Definitely so. So right now, Splyce, they're finishing up that tier 2 tower in the top lane. They're going to wait for Wunder to pressure bot lane. Look at Kobe and Mickey immediately moving mid as well. They want to play the game on 3 lanes, maximize that Baron buff spread. The only thing they can do is get picked off once they're setting up. They're going to take the free inhib. 4-1, I think, is the best way to do it. Ignore top lane for now. Just 4-man walk in, wait for Wunder to come alongside you, and then 4-1 split push. It's a little greedy walking in already.
Got a bit of poke out,
yeah.
A lot of Caitlyn traps, but still, they don't think they need to respect it entirely as long as they were walking out of the range of Steelback, who's been keeping himself in a very safe position with Wunder now on the bottom side and Trashy going up to the top. They've got 3 lanes pushing their way.
Insta clearing top lane. Trashy gonna put some pressure. They want to just split them up. Divide and conquer is what you want to do right now. Now you go 4 top side, 1 in the bottom side, and once the super creeps pile in, you can buff them too.
And now we've seen this game plan from Splyce in the past. They're going to opt right into it once more time. So no inhib in the middle, looking to knock down the one in the top. Daisy's taken out, first casualty of this push now as Wunder is inside the base, and Cabochard is trying to cut off the legs of the minion wave.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter.
Essentially pushing mid and bot at the same time. He's proxying the bot wave so he can maybe buff some creeps here in the mid wave, make it just so annoying. Force people backwards for Vitality. Now the Rengar ulti comes out, it's pressure. There's no intention of killing, just step away from the turret is what Splyce is asking Vitality. Once this turret falls, inhib should be free.
Just making the moves to show their muscles off. Splyce says, we don't have to kill you, but we will be able to take this game. Moving into the base, and there is little to nothing Vitality are able to do. The damage they have, it just isn't enough. Senkux, there's an ace in the hole on him, and he gets rooted up, but now Vitality, they're going to hope to get a kill off, but the shield was there. He's going to have to flash that one out. So a little overstepping his bounds. It's Senkux, and he gets away.
Not paying attention just enough. And again, the main initiator on Vitality, this main guy, is this Nautilus pick. Counter pick into the Shen, by the way, into the draft from Vitality.
And he's not been with the team either.
He can't beat, because he can't beat Pyra, and that's the problem right now for Vitality. A lot of it is hinged on Cabochard pressing hard and knocking somebody up. And then, of course, Jay spoke, Caitlyn trap, it all sounds beautiful. Nami wave, bubble, all together. What a wombo combo. Splyce is just never allowing it to happen.
Yeah, the closest we saw was Senko's getting caught up right there. That was without the Nautilus, but as it stands, Splyce are going to be able to give themselves a little more power. Still ticking on the Baron buff. Going to knock down the Elder Drake to empower the Dragon bonuses already. A little bit more speed, the burn, and a little bit more to be able to knock down towers. Right back to the lanes.
Back it up 4-1 again, but this time 4 on the bottom lane, because that final turret's still available, and it's obviously much easier for Senkux and Kobe to whack away. And Wunder could technically ignore Cabochard and start hitting the inhibitor, because it's the epitome of a wet noodle fight.
It's late in the game too. So tanky, so hard to kill that Shen. Now they push in the minions. There's not too many, but they've got the damage even through the Caitlyn trap line. They're going to be able to finish it off. Wunder is unopposed up top. Vitality, I want to say they're falling apart, but they were never together this game. Another inhibitor falls. We are 40 minutes in, and they are just losing every single thing. Kobe's going to fall. Vitality, though, can they have a snowball's chance in hell? I don't think so. Cabochard tanking the entire line, but he's gone down. The GA's ticking. It doesn't matter for Splyce. They're cutting through these turrets like cheese, and it is just all over. Nexus down. Splyce with a convincing victory. Locked up.
Super clean in the end from Splyce. One major hiccup was that Baron Asher, but there was absolutely no fight from Vitality. I want to see more vigor. I want to see the hunger. I want to see them willing to win.
Now this was like a boxer backed up in the corner, and he just not even raising his dukes to defend himself.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not much of a boxer myself, but geez, Vitality, they had, you're right, they had absolutely no fight in them this game.
It's just everybody was,
it was disappointing.
Everybody was so accepting of the position that they were in. Yeah, I'm pushed in mid. Yeah, pushed in bot. Playing against the global. Can't really do much. Guess they're losing jungle. Nah, can't do anything, man. Dude has a Rengar. And then the gold lead just keeps on growing, and they see this too. Like Vitality, they're no idiots. They know exactly what map moves that Splyce is going to do. The problem is their draft doesn't allow them to fight back, and they weren't willing to gamble on one big loss to try and fight their way back in.
Well, we'll see what they can do in game number 2. Now, Splyce have taken game 1 over here. Let's hand it over to the analyst desk to break it down.
Thank you very much, Pyro. Well, Splyce at least putting down a lot more fight and doing really well in this game. Let's take a look at the picks and bans. There was a lot to talk about. The biggest question mark, I think, for everyone was, you know, you give up the Rengar because seemingly you do want the Jace, but then you end up flexing it at some point. Why then? Or
well, the way I see the leave Rengar open and not the Kha'Zix is, I think in Vitality's mind, they're like, if we leave Kha'Zix open, Splyce will first pick Jace. And then we have to play Kha'Zix, and maybe they don't want to play it. Maybe they don't feel like it's that strong for them. Or they just feel like Jace was like the key pick for them no matter what. So they're okay sacrificing one of the absolute best picks in the game right now to get Jace in that first rotation. And I just think that trade is just never really worth it.
Yeah, and it ends up kind of having an impact later on as we go through the draft because, you know, we were sat here, you were saying, okay, Shen, got to pick Shen, got to ban Shen, like, get the Shen out of there. And ultimately, it comes through for Splyce, where we were actually anticipating if it was available, maybe that's where Vitality end up taking that away, getting a strong pick for themselves. But it leaves Vitality in a position where how are you ever going to kill like the Shen and the Rengar with the shield on? And you know, I was saying to you maybe 4 items. If Rengar makes a mistake, you're praying that the enemy somehow screw it up, but just no real way to win the game for Vitality.
It's just if you look at the actual draft and the comp they ended with, Jace and Caitlyn are the only 2 damage dealers because you have Nautilus top, 0 damage. Ivern jungle, 0 damage. Nami support, 0 damage. You 2 physical damage dealers versus a tank who can block auto attacks, which is Shen, obviously, who stacks armor, funny enough. He had like 250-something armor towards the end. So even when you get your 4-item, 5-item Caitlyn, she deals almost no damage to him, and you never really have a chance to win this game. Yep. You couldn't match 1-3-1 either because you're against a Shen and a Corki in the side lanes.
one of the cases where it seemed lost before it began. Amazing also tweeted, well, at least Vitality can't possibly get a worse drafting game too, so that's going to look up. So I think he agrees with you guys as well. So then let's put our attention to Splyce. Splyce, as said, they had something to make up for it. They had a good draft, and they started off great. They had a bit of a hiccup with the Baron, a 50-50 once again.
Wow, what a surprise.
Let's take a look at that, because every European LCS team seems to take these 50-50s.
They do, and I always see a lot of people who make fun of other regions, say like, NA Barons and LPL Barons or whatever. We do it in Europe all the time as well, and it's just annoying to look at, but
they turned it around, though.
The fight is important.
Yeah, the fight is important because there's a few key things. First of all, Nuke Duck by the wall, super nice play by Trashy and Wonder to combo in. Steelback has a QSS, but waits 2 full autos on the taunt until he pops it. So the taunt's basically expired, and at this point, Crepbo was talking a lot about it in the cast. Maybe Vitality should back away even further before this, because Splyce just takes so much from those 2 picks.
Yeah, that's something Vitality struggled a lot with last split. It was like the clear calls in the moment. So they steal the Baron, great. Call should just be run away, boys, just run away. But they kind of hover around. Nuke Dog separates himself from the group and actually stays near that wall where Trashy could then jump from. If he just runs up to his team, it's much harder for Trashy to actually get disengaged with the Shen on him. So really just strange call there from Vitality, but I personally feel like the game was lost like before that already. Yeah. And again, if you have to win the game purely by a random 50-50 Baron steal, you still had, you know, a really weak draft. So I think Splyce kind of had a really easy game, and there's actually very little to talk about.
There were a couple of errors, but some nice areas that Splyce did have success. A similar game plan to what Vitality wanted last week against the Unicorns. The plays onto bot tower, shove it in, get the damage down, bring the Rengar across to try and dive on the squishy lineup, which ended up paying off with the tower going down. And then Splyce decided, okay, well, what should we do with this Rengar? Very good at going for squishies. Let's put 2 tanks on our radar, try and dive the Nautilus. Try. We don't know where Ivern is. Try and kill these tanky targets. And that was the problem, was the decision-making. You could see the good decisions and the bad decisions Splyce are making at the same time.
Well, overall, if you look back at how Joko utilized his Rengar versus Unicorns of Love, he only did 7% of his team's damage in that entire game, which is incredibly low. Trashy did the most damage out of his team at 25 minutes on his Rengar, so they did it better out of all. They had a huge gold lead at 20 minutes. So, as you say, nothing more to say. I think that the fact that Vitality, they have to start again at picks and bans, and Splyce look really strong.
Yeah, I mean, Splyce in this game obviously looks strong also because Vitality had such a weak draft and made it very easy, because you talk about like Trashy on Rengar here. Not only did they give him Rengar, they also gave him a composition that Rengar can really excel in, because there's a Shen to back him up.
But Ivern's great.
There's an Asher. Yes, Ivern is a fine enough pick, I guess, against Rengar, but not enough to actually give him up in the draft. And then also the Shen. Yeah. And then also the Ashe arrow to start it. And then the Corki who can win the side lane. So like Rengar just had a perfect game to be like, I can do anything.
Yeah, just so many tools to get that Rengar into the fight. It was funny, we were tracking the QSS on Steelbag. He bought it at 17 minutes into the game, and we were thinking, okay, you're neutralizing the possibility of Rengar getting on you. But with all the shields, the heals, everything, Steelbag was never really in a position until that 29-minute fight where he even had to use the QSS. So he delays that damage even further. So Trashy's just looking at it thinking, I can just kill a Nami every single time, and it doesn't really matter to him.
Yep, getting some sushi. Well, we're going to take a break to hunt for the Blood Moon, but when we come back, we'll have Game 2 between Splyce and Vitality. Don't go anywhere.